Well, welcome to this beautiful Texas morning. I hope the weather is great wherever you are. So this is part 3 of a 4-part series where we're talking about navigating difficult family relationships. We talk a lot about friendship on this channel. And isn't family really your first friends? So today we're going to talk about keeping the peace, navigating those difficult family relationships. And I think it's a perfect time to talk about it because the holiday season is right ahead of us. And that seems to be a time when emotions are more raw. Now, I'll start with saying that, the last couple of videos, we were really honed in on becoming a mother-in-law. It was about our daughters and our sons and how do we navigate being a good in-law. And how do we adjust when our kids marry? And honestly, sometimes everything changes. So this is the next step. One of the younger members of our community loved her comment so much. She made such a profound statement. She said that when she dates, she prioritizes how the person she's dating treats her mother. And it really got me to thinking about that old saying, people show you who they really are. And I think it's so important as mothers, especially, dads too, but we're moms here, to watch the dynamics of our children's romantic relationships. And we can use it as an opportunity to prepare ourselves for what's next if that child gets deeper in that relationship. When our children are being courted or they're courting, it tells us a lot about what that relationship's going to look like. And the same happens with our brothers and sisters, right? Even grown brothers and sisters as we watch them choose their spouses. And family dynamics obviously don't stop and reset at marriage. They just keep rippling outward. They affect our relationships with our own brothers and sisters. And yes, those new sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws can stir the pot faster than you can set the Thanksgiving table. Yikes, some of them are hard to handle. But the truth is that family relationships are constantly evolving. So, especially during the holidays when emotions run high and everyone's supposed to be feeling cheerful, we know that some are biting their tongue. So today, we're going to talk about navigating those difficult family relationships, how to keep your peace, and how to set yourself up for success, even if things aren't perfect. And this is year round. But because it's almost the holidays, I'm going to talk a little more about that. But I guess where we start, at least for me, is why do family dynamics feel so much harder as we get older? It's funny because you'd think by the time we're in our 50s or 60s or beyond, family relationships would have settled in. But honestly, they often get more complicated because family means history, right? Everyone has an opinion. Everyone's carrying years, sometimes decades of chips on their shoulder, little hurts that never got talked about. So now we've got these blended families. Sometimes there are second marriages. There are step grandkids and siblings who still compete for mom and dad's approval, even when mom and dad are long gone. That's a topic for another day. So before we even talk about the holidays or boundaries or how to handle it all, it's important to acknowledge that this stuff is emotional, it's layered, and it's normal to feel uneasy about it because it's taken decades to get to where we are today. You can love your family and still feel like you need to emotionally armor up before you walk into family gatherings. And honestly, for many of you, a holiday dinner is on the horizon. So know what role you play before you leave the house. Every family has roles. We have the peacekeeper, the fixer, the favorite, the quiet one, the rebel, and then there's the one who always takes charge. That would be me. And unless we consciously change, we tend to slip right back into those old family roles the second we're all in the same room. And it really becomes more and more complicated as the family expands. So I suggest always doing a little mental check-in before every family gathering. And you have to ask yourself a couple questions. So number one, what role do I usually play in my family? And then ask yourself, do I want to be that this year? Right? Make a mental note of who is going to be there so you can better prepare yourself for the different personalities and go into it with your eyes wide open. Nobody's changing. You may have spent 40 years smoothing things over, and just maybe this year you don't want that role anymore. Maybe you want to show up calm, kind, but not responsible for anyone else's behavior. Because once you stop trying to be the manager or tolerating the stupid jokes, the side eye, or the little critiques, you actually start to feel more in control. I mean, that's been my experience. When I know what's coming, I'm in such better shape and I don't let it ruin my day. But especially at the holidays, like time gets taken away from us. So we tend to walk into these events not prepared. My favorite is the pot stir, right? And I say that with love and affection because it seems like every family has one, right? The person who knows exactly what topic will light the fire. And they can't resist striking the match, especially in close quarters and especially if there's been a little bit of holiday punch. They bring up politics at the dinner table purposely. They make jokes that aren't funny. They ask loaded questions. So, are they coming this year? If they are, you have to get ready. You can't control them, but you can control how you respond to them. And it may be someone in your family who just rubs you the wrong way. So here's a 3-part mindset. Number one, don't take the bait. You don't have to answer every question or rise to every comment. A calm, simple, I'm not interested in going there works wonders. Move the conversation. Redirect or disengage. You can literally change the subject in a heartbeat. I don't know about that, but did anyone try the dessert yet? It looks fabulous. Number 3, have a calm exit strategy. If you feel like you're slipping, your mood's slipping, step outside, get some air, walk into the kitchen, go look through the refrigerator. Don't say something you'll regret. And I always say, get your seat at the table first. Pal up with someone you enjoy and get them right next to you. Because remember, the family members that make trouble, their chaos doesn't have to be your chaos. The next thing I would say about setting yourself up for holiday success, or really this works for any get-together. We can't always change who's sitting around the table, but we can absolutely change how we show up. You can just pretend you don't hear people. And a few things that will help is to, number one, lower your expectations. I'm not part of a Hallmark family. This is no Hallmark movie, but I don't want any blow-ups. That's a win. So have emotional boundaries. And it's okay to say, oh, I'm really not interested in talking about that. This is the holidays. Let's go look at the tree. Give yourself some quiet space after holiday events. Plan something, a long bath, a few hours just for you, a book you've been dying to read. Closeness is okay, but it doesn't mean you owe them a deep connection other than to be in the room with them, because sometimes civility is just enough. I love this saying I heard a long time ago. Peaceful distance is healthier than forced togetherness. I think I got that right. Now, what do you do? And several of you have asked, what do you do when a grown sibling relationship has turned painful? Some of you might be thinking right now, well, this is my life. It's not just the holidays. My siblings and I barely talk anymore, but now we're forced to be together, kumbaya, because of mom and dad or mom or dad. And I think it's okay to admit that, God, get me through this. Maybe there's some resentment over caregiving or inheritance. Oh, yeah, money. Maybe you don't feel like you've been heard. They were the favorite. Maybe your sibling married someone difficult and that changed the family dynamic. Maybe you just grew in different directions, emotionally, spiritually, politically. Here's my suggestion. You can love someone and still protect yourself. You can wish them well without inviting them to ruin your peace. You don't have to give them that kind of power over you. If the relationship is strained, and there's an option of just sending a card with a nice message for the holidays, thinking of you, maybe a poinsettia if it's a closer family member, just some kind of a gesture. You don't have to be in the same room, not even in the same state. You can travel at a different time because the holidays becomes this beatdown of spending money and travel and getting in a good mood and smiling when you don't want to smile. But honestly, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and get the same results, the joke's on you. So the holidays can often make us feel like relationships can be something that they've never been before. Again, that Hallmark movie, but don't believe it. Remember, it's the season for peace and goodwill. And that means your peace and goodwill too. So sometimes you just have to let the relationship be. It is what it is and not what you wish it was. The next big issue is protecting yourself by choosing your own focus. If this year's holiday feels tense, and again, that can be any forced gathering, reunions, funerals, weddings, decide in advance, what do I want this event to feel like for me? And maybe saying no is the only thing that works. Planning something at a different time with the people you love, the people you want to be around. We get to be around people we enjoy. So maybe the simplicity, less fuss, will bring more joy out of the gatherings that we're almost, I guess we feel forced to be in, especially around the holidays. Or like I said, any big birthday celebration, mom and dad turn 80, you get to build your holiday around what you want and not other people's expectations. For us this year, we're doing no gifts. We're doing puzzles and games and a nice dinner and a nice Christmas movie with hot cocoa. It's become too much over the last couple of years, as the family has started to expand, even with serious girlfriends. I don't know about you, but it feels so awkward to me to be opening all these gifts and then have a new girlfriend or, usually they're more serious, I guess, but you feel like you've got to buy and buy and buy and they feel like they have to buy and it just gets out of control. And we spend half our time opening gifts and not enjoying each other's company. So this year, for the first time, talked to my mom, talked to my sister, talked to my daughter, and we decided we're going to buy little gifts. If you choose to take them home, to open them on Christmas Day, we're doing our Christmas. We always do our Christmas on Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve is just going to be relaxing. Just a nice meal, buffet style, like I said, with puzzles and movies and hot chocolate and just relaxing. And if you need to get away from someone, you can just scooch very easily to another room. And remember, you don't always have to attend every event. You don't have to host if you're tired. You don't have to fix what others break. You aren't responsible for other people's enjoyment. So have a plan. And plan early, like right now, because once the holiday calendar starts, you lose total control and you start drifting back into old habits. In closing, I think we know that families will always be complicated, but complication doesn't have to mean chaotic. So as we get older, and peace starts to matter more, or honestly, chaos takes a lot more out of us. We don't want to hold grudges anymore. We don't want to talk about past drama. I get to say I love you, but I love myself too. And the holidays sometimes are just way too much pressure. So as they roll in, brace yourself for battle and don't fear saying, this year we're doing something different. Walk in knowing who you are, what you'll allow, and what you'll let go of. Because honestly, the holidays will never be perfect. Any big family gathering will never be perfect because so much of our expectations are set on years of tradition when we were little kids and that joy and excitement of every big family gathering. When you and your siblings were your only friends in many cases. And now it's not like that, but we hold on to the past. Well, if this series speaks to you, if you haven't seen the earlier videos, I hope you'll go back on the playlist, navigating our adult relationships and what is your new normal when your children marry, when your siblings marry, when your mom and dad need a lot of help, or when your mom and dad pass away. You know, how do we learn to live in peace and forget about past, this was unfair, that was unfair. And if you have a friend who's going through this, I hope you'll share it with them. It can be very stressful. And quite honestly, the holidays can be incredibly stressful for people. Don't ever forget that there's a lot of joy found in changing up your schedule, maybe spending your time volunteering, finding a group that can use your help to, get you out of the house and to get you realizing how much you have to be grateful for. A lot of families do these turkey trots, but I think it's that whole idea of getting out of the house, changing up the dynamic, changing up the tradition. I have to laugh. I'll close with this funny story. So we've been a turkey, stuffing, green beans, sweet potato casserole, mashed potato family for the holidays for my entire life. 2 years ago, my youngest said to me, wouldn't Christmas be a lot easier? And I think I mentioned we celebrate on Christmas Eve with the extended family, and then everybody kind of goes off and does their own thing on Christmas morning. My kids come over to my house on Christmas morning, but not with girlfriends and boyfriends. My son-in-law, obviously, is part of the family. But my youngest said, it's so hectic, all the gift opening and everybody, getting there and bringing things. Why don't we just change up the menu? So I said, okay, what'd you have in mind? And he said, how about tortilla soup with all of the fixings? And we can put the soup on the oven. People can help themselves and put on all their toppings. And then we'll just have a dessert buffet. Everybody bring a dessert. Okay, this is our 3rd year doing tortilla soup for Christmas. And even my 90-year-old parents love it. We have turkey on Thanksgiving, and then Christmas is super easy. It has been what seemed like a big change, but it honestly has been one of the best things we've done for our family. And I'm hoping this year, by sending little gifts from my mom and dad home with them to open on Christmas morning, that we're going to take that additional stress off of ourselves. And then finally, the last thing is plan something nice for yourself the day after any family get together, wedding, a reunion, a funeral. Just give yourself some time to reset and pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a little grace for having survived another family get together. Well, I'd love to hear from you. I look forward to your comments, and we'll have one more in this series. So see you next week. Take care. Enjoy the beautiful weather. I hope you're having the same weather I'm having. Take care. Bye-bye.